Hi, everyone. As announced, my name is Mike. I am the product lead at Oxbow. Thank you all for coming to my talk here. At Oxbow, we build privacy tooling, such as privacy pools, and we also build compliance tooling to support said privacy. So yeah, we're here at Stable Summit today, and we're obviously all very excited about stablecoins, as am I. One thing that I'm curious about is that I'm guessing a lot of you have one of these as well. This is a Gnosis Pay card, which is essentially a self-custodied crypto debit card. And so I use mine quite frequently. I'm a big fan of the product. But I think, yeah, there is also some design choices we need to make about these kind of products that I think we can kind of improve on a little bit. And today with this talk, I'm looking to demonstrate why we should think about this quite carefully. Yeah. So let's take a look at Gnosis Pay in and of itself. So it has over 31K weekly payments. It has 3,500 active cardholders. It does 2 million in weekly volume. These are not huge numbers, but you can see there is also 420% year-on-year growth, which is really quite significant. And well, with all the hype around stablecoins, we can kind of expect this to increase. And so every one of these transactions is permanently stored. This is all public data on a blockchain living forever. There is no opt-out. There is no, I mean, we're in Europe, there's no GDPR request for removal. And so this is public forever. And so what can we do with that, right? Why is this a problem? So let's first take a look at how Gnosis Pay works. What happens is you tap your card at a merchant, and Visa sends an auth request to Gnosis Pay, which then triggers an on-chain transaction from your Gnosis Pay account to the Gnosis Pay settlement safe, which is a public transaction. And then that settlement safe balances out with Visa, and that happens off-chain. So what happens here, right? Like, what can we learn from this? Well, we can see the exact amount in euros. We can see the exact timestamp. You can see your wallet address, your current balance, and your entire transaction history. What we don't know is the actual merchant, the purchase category, and the geographic location. But in all honesty, we don't really need that, and I'm going to show you why. So first, what I did here is I created a June dashboard, to which I'll share a link at the end of this presentation. And what I did first was identifying all Gnosis Pay cardholders. So as I mentioned previously, this all links back to a single settlement safe. So as soon as you find that, you basically find all transactions coming into there and thus all accounts. So here is some sample data. As you can see, there are active accounts here with a lot of transactions that spend, quite a large amount of money. So yeah, let's dive in. What can we learn? I pick one wallet from this list, and I have to give a small disclaimer here. I used a hypothetical wallet because I felt a bit bad about really doxing someone like this. So this is fake data. I will share the query to the June dashboard. If you want to snoop yourself, you can see all of this. So, well, let's look at an average Tuesday, right? We can see there are around 8 transactions happening here. First one is at 7:42 in the morning. I mean, it's a €3.80 transaction. We're making an assumption, maybe it's a morning coffee. Next one, we have maybe a public transport ticket. Then we see lunch, and the list goes on. There's quite a few transactions here from different amounts, so we can take a few guesses at what's actually happening. So from one day, right, we don't know anything for sure, but we can make some assumptions here. We can assume this person, for instance, lives in CET time zone, that it, has a 9-to-5 job, it has a lunch break at 12:30, and it takes public transport, wakes up kind of early. So yeah, as I said, this is one day. It's guesswork. But once we start diving into the bigger picture by, for instance, looking at all the transaction history from this account, we can create a far more granular picture. So what if we multiply this 1 day by 365 days and look at a year in the life of this wallet? Well, we can see very clear spending patterns, and we can create a very accurate financial fingerprint. As you can see, we observe a very consistent pattern with regular activities across basically your Monday 9 to 5. And on the weekends, there seems to be a lot of social activity in the evenings. We can see that most transactions here are pretty small, between like the 0 and 5 euros, and then it gradually decreases as the amount gets higher. So such a financial fingerprint is really quite unique. This is very sensitive and valuable data, and it can really be used to create a pretty detailed picture of your life, of how you behave and what you do. Yeah, so we can go a bit further too, right? Because this is all on the spending side. We can see, for instance, there is a 99 recurring payment every month. It's probably a subscription, $39.99 as well, probably also a subscription, and we know you like to get a daily coffee. So this is on the spending side. However, the income side is public too, right? Like, we're assuming this user uses Gnosis Pay as their primary payment method, and it also receives their salary there. So then we see a monthly transaction coming in of approximately 3,000 euros. We can trace that back, and now we know this user's employer as well, especially if that employer is identifiable for like ENS or something like that. We can see that there is another wallet giving infrequent transactions into this safe, and so we can also know, okay, this is probably your crypto wallet that you'll use for, well, your crypto life. And we can also see you top up from Binance from time to time. So we know you trade on Binance too. And so these are all little puzzle pieces through which, you know, we can really start to paint a picture of who this user is and what their habits are. Yeah, this is one user, but we can do this for the entire Gnosis Pay user set. You can profile all these people that are in the Gnosis Pay list all at once. You can see it paints quite an accurate picture of what kind of users Gnosis Pay has. It's got 4% of users that spend a lot of money. They average more than 100 euros per payment, more than 5,000 per month. We have 22% of users that are daily spenders. It's quite a high amount. It's quite impressive, actually. We have a few people that only use it on the weekends. We have other people that only use it during weekdays, so they probably only use it for their business. Then you have people like me, tourist visitors. I usually use my Gnosis Pay account when I'm traveling, so I would fall into that bracket myself. And I've assumed, because I've only looked at your e-transfers, so I've kind of assumed that everyone that is in this bracket is located in CET. So then final category, we have some people that for some reason only use it at night. Yeah, now you can see, I know all of this just for like 5 simple June queries. This is a lot of information. This is a lot of competitive intelligence. Yeah, so not all crypto cards are equal. We've now looked at self-custodied wallets, and self-custodied wallets are probably the most exposed right now. You can also, of course, use a centralized exchange crypto card. I'm not a big fan of centralized exchanges myself, but in this case, they do definitely provide more privacy than the alternatives. And you can also obviously still just use your regular TradFi payment card. Yeah, I mean, if you look at TradFi, you really have quite a lot more protection than you have in crypto now. You know, like, banks are supposed to protect all of this by law, whereas here, if in your self-custody card, everything is basically on-chain. And so this is all fun and games, this presentation here, but I wanna make it a bit more relatable, in the sense that, you know, like, this data truly is very sensitive, and people are looking at this data right now. We obviously have like the Chainalysis, TRM Labs, Elliptics, your blockchain analytics firms who offer this as a commercial service. they have probably indexed every one of these users as well. And what I personally think is a pretty scary thought too, is that hackers and scammers also see all of this. And you can imagine that, like, well, we obviously have loads of data breaches in crypto, from centralized exchanges to KYC providers. If your data is compromised in any of that, and that is then linkable to your Gnosis Pay wallet, you are a target, realistically. And so you really have to think about designing these kind of things. Then data brokers look at it, your employers, partners. I mean, this is open to anyone. So how do we solve this? How do we fix this? I'm going to do a little bit of shilling here. We are going to release Privacy Pools v2 on testnet basically this week. Our goal is to create privacy for consumer fintech products such as Gnosis Pay. Essentially, what we do is we use zero-knowledge proofs to break the link between deposits and withdrawals, transfers, all these kind of things. So how this would work in the case of Gnosis Pay is a user would simply deposit into privacy pools. So that deposit part is still going to be public. However, you're not going to be able to see who receives that money. So you just see money going into the vault, and you cannot link it to a recipient anymore. So it's already a little bit better. Then if you spend money at a merchant, you make a private transfer to the private settlement vault, and so nobody sees anything. I think privacy is extremely important. The way that public blockchains are designed is great for some use case, and I think it's truly one of their strongest capabilities, but I don't think it's great for everything. Privacy isn't a feature, it's really a right. I think that especially when it comes to things like stablecoins, payments, consumer products, we should really think about how we can embed privacy by default and ensure that we don't leak our clients' sensitive information publicly to anyone on the internet. That was my talk. Thank you very much. And if you're interested, you can scan the QR code, see the June dashboard for yourself, and do a little bit of snooping.